This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
On this episode of Bantha Milk Podcast, Goonies never die.
That's true.
They just become skeleton crew or something.
Intro music.
Hey, man.
What up?
How you doing?
How are you? It's been like forever since we've been in the same room together.
I think August is our last time we did one of
Yeah,
these.
it's been a while.
It's been a minute. We are back. I am alive.
Nick is alive.
Those of you who have been keeping up at home might have recognized Rob from other ventures and creative outlets that he's been doing, including his newest podcast, Your Team Sucks.
Your team sucks.
But
I don't need these right now.
It's been a hot minute since I've been here. I'm happy to be back. It is early in the morning, Sunday, December 1st. Our Bantha Milk today. Sunday.
I don't even have any Bantha Milk.
Yeah, you should have gotten on that. That's
Yeah.
all right. I actually toyed with the idea of bringing a little bottle of champagne and orange juice for us to do a little mimosas. But I thought I had a lot to do today. So I just got my Wawa Cuban roast black coffee, plus my double espresso shot I had before I came. So
that's good
feeling
times. You're feeling it.
Good.
You got all the caffeine in you.
All I need. That's right.
All you need.
And I'm ready to talk Goonies. Star Wars Goonies.
Star Wars Goonies.
Yeah,
so today is December 1st. I'm going to have to put this out today.
So that tomorrow,
December 2nd, is when Skeleton Crew 2-episode premiere comes out. So we're going to have to do another show later in the week, breaking it down.
From Disney Plus.
Yes.
Yeah, so set your dials. Is that a thing people do now?
That's what people used to do.
In like the 1950s.
Set the VCR.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Schedule of recording. Set the VCR on record.
Do you think anyone still owns a VCR?
Everybody owns a VCR. Whether it still works or not is another story.
If you're out there listening right now and you have a functioning VCR at your home that you use on the reg.
You have Disney movies on VHS.
On
VHS.
That's right. Or else the old school Nickelodeon ones, the orange cassettes.
The orange.
We're going to need for you to send us a picture of it and to explain to us what it's like living in 1993 still.
Yes.
But yeah.
It's funny, speaking of old TV shows and stuff, Tubi is awesome, by the way.
Okay.
I don't know if you...
I'm not hip to the Tubi.
Okay. It's a free streaming service.
Sure, I've heard of it, for sure.
Yeah, so...
by the way, this is not a paid endorsement.
This is not a paid endorsement.
Because we don't get those.
I forget what I was looking for. Sherry and I were watching something, and I was like, oh, I remember that show, because, I'm 10 years older than you, so all of my favorite shows were from the 80s when I was a kid. And
14.
14 years older than you. So I'm like, oh, I remember this show and that show and whatever. So I typed something into first... it's hard to find all these old shows. Dukes of Hazzard. I don't know if you even know what it is.
Yes, I know what Dukes of Hazzard is.
So yeah, Dukes of Hazzard. Something.
They came out with a new one in the early 2000s.
They did. They did a movie with
the guy from American Pie.
Yes. So it was pretty funny. But yeah. So Dukes of Hazzard was one that I remember religiously watching on Friday nights.
Them damn Duke boys are at it.
They're at it again. So that's what it was. We were watching. Oh, Cameron was watching The Outer Banks.
Okay.
Very hip kid show.
I've never heard of it. Now I know.
You have to watch it on Netflix. It's one of those, pretty kids who are always up to no good. So they're kind of like a pretty kid version of Scooby-Doo.
Okay.
In season 1, they were trying to solve this mystery or whatever. Then as it goes on, it's kind of like the drag racing movies, Fast and the Furious, how each one gets a little bit more ridiculous. Now by season 3, they're like fortune hunting for Blackbeard's treasure in They went all the way to Africa at one point, and they knew their way around this town in Africa
just
somehow.
These random pretty people.
Random pretty people. That somehow they got a car. They're driving all over the place, whatever. But I said it reminded me a lot of the Dukes of Hazzard, because the one kid was always getting in trouble with the law. And every time he would do this, he would do that, but then somehow he always got out of trouble. And it was the same thing with the Duke boys. They were always in trouble with the law, but yet at the end of every episode, Sheriff Roscoe Pico train was coming to arrest them. They would always escape. And then by the end of the episode, they found out that they weren't the ones that actually did the bad thing. They were actually doing something good.
Right.
And then they couldn't get them Duke boys. Oh, the Duke boys couldn't get...
I'll get you next time,
Duke boys, every single time. And it's like, how many times can you almost get in trouble with the law without action and then get out of it every single time? And now Outer Banks is doing the same thing. So I don't know where that all came from. But anyway, Tubi, I was trying to watch some sitcom on there, and it's like Netflix does the same thing. You know, we don't have this show, but we have all of these shows.
Right.
And one of them was a show called My Two Dads. Did you even know about this show?
No.
Okay, so
Can't say I did.
I was binge watching it for the past 3 days now. It's 3 seasons long, 60 episodes. This girl...
When is this from?
It's from
era?
Middle 80s,
okay.
87-ish,
That's
maybe.
when I was born.
Yeah, so it was when you were born. And Paul Reiser, Paul Reiser was in it. Do you know who he is?
Nope.
Okay.
Before my time, for sure.
Okay, so anyway, he was one of the 2 dads. But long story short, the very beginning of the show, girl's mom dies. She doesn't know who the dad is, but she knows it's one of these 2 boys. Not boys, they're men. One of these 2 men. And she leaves in her will that the 2 of them have to take care of the daughter together because she doesn't know which one is the actual biological father.
Okay.
So now there's 2 guys and this girl.
I feel like there are tests for that.
But it was the late 80s. Maybe the tests weren't as good.
Or maybe it just didn't make for a good
It didn't make for a good storyline. Yeah. So then it's a sitcom. It's like a family sitcom, but the family sitcom is, instead of your typical mom and dad,
it's 2 dads.
2 dads.
But this is, to be clear, this is the mid 80s, so it's not like a homosexual male and male couple.
No,
because that would not have been
that
okay
would not
on
have
the
gone
TV in the 80s.
No, not
this was just the funny thing was, oh my God, 2 dudes are raising a kid.
2 dudes are raising a kid.
Did they get into?
Yeah, 2 straight men raising a kid.
Okay.
And they're both single, so they're each having dates and things like that and whatever. And there was even an episode where the newspaper was up in arms as to how this was a unconventional family and it shouldn't happen and blah 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 whatever. But it just brought back all my memories of the 80s. And then bringing that back is coming back to The Skeleton Crew, which is supposedly not a remake of, but The Goonies, which was one of the greatest kid movie. Mentally, as a kid, you wish you were a Goonie when you're watching this.
So you were just doing some math here, right? You were born 73? Okay.
Yes.
So how old were you when The Goonies came out? Goonies, I think, was 85. So you must have been like
12.
12?
Yes.
So you were like
I was right in the middle of it. Yes, I was the
for
demographic
Goonies.
for the Goonies.
So you probably love it.
Oh, I love
People
it.
who are slightly older, like at least 10 years older than you,
okay,
a lot of them, I think, missed it. And they just, it isn't their thing. But like from your generation through my gen, like that 10 years, people born between like 1973 and 1993, those 20 years, I feel like Goonies became like our anthem. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I listened to. You ever listen to Conan O'Brien's podcast?
Sometimes, yeah.
So he did an interview with Josh Brolin recently.
And he was in Goonies.
Yes. And they referred to it as our generation's Citizen Kane.
Yes, 100%.
Which, yeah, totally. And I haven't seen it in a while, but like every time I go back, I'm thinking, I was a kid when I liked this. I'm probably not going to dig it. And every time I'm like, no, this holds up.
And it holds up. It also, it shows like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to type in Goonies. Like kids these days wouldn't understand it because we had no technology. Mm-hmm. So you're going off of hunches. Like Data's jacket with all of these amazing Inspector Gadget type
what
things.
What kid didn't want to be dated?
Oh my God!
What kid
built
didn't
into
want
it.
that?
Who springs in your shoes so that you could jump over kids who are being mean to you? The punching bag that comes out, the oil slick that's like this was amazing. Like this is what you were like, oh my gosh. And like I love the memes that I get on Instagram and Facebook all the time that says, in 1987 our parents thought we were riding our bikes around the block, but in actuality we were 4 towns over in an abandoned building, breaking stuff, throwing rocks through windows and things like that, and our parents never knew.
Yep.
I think because of that is why now as a parent I'm constantly
where's my kid
on Find My iPhone to see where my kid is.
Because of what you did.
Because of what I did. And like I wasn't bad, like I wasn't breaking the law, but I remember in my neighborhood we were only allowed to ride our bikes on the top block. There was a little hill that went down. We were not allowed to go down that hill. So, of course, we spent 90% of our time down that hill. There was also, like, this train tracks behind us. Don't go near the train track.
Oh, you did. Walk up and down the train
tracks.
Up and
down. We're putting pennies on the train tracks and hiding as the trains go by so they would flatten it out. And then we had these flat pieces of copper and stuff like that. Like, this is wherever you were told you weren't allowed to go, that's where you were going.
And you also didn't have Ring cameras on every house. And,
right.
And, you go all around now, and I, like, am fully aware as I walk around, like, there's just cameras everywhere. Everywhere you go.
Yeah.
When we were kids, that wasn't the case.
No.
When I had a really unique experience growing up because I did a lot of my growing up on Long Beach Island.
Okay.
Right? For those of you out there not from Jersey, Long Beach Island is an 18-mile long island. At its widest, it's maybe a half a mile wide.
I was going to say half a mile wide.
But it's 18 miles long.
Yeah.
And in the winter especially, it's a ghost town. It's 18 miles of just nothing.
Yeah. Now, was that where your full-time house was? Or
yeah.
Okay.
Yep. When I was 6, I moved on to LBI, and I lived on LBI full-time until I was about 17.
Okay.
So, in 6th grade, I would ride my bike to school, which was, 3 towns over, which is not that crazy, but I get on my bike and I have 18 miles of just places to. I didn't have a cell phone.
Yeah.
I would ride my bike from my house down to Fantasy Island, which is at the end of the island. And then I'd ride my bike home, and it's like, I can't imagine letting my daughter ride. Hey, here's an 18-mile stretch of land.
Yeah.
Be back by dinner.
Be back by dinner. Make sure dinner's at 5:00. Make sure you're back by dinner.
Yep.
And being a shore town in the summer, there was, thousands of more people there than there were in the wintertime. Hundreds of thousands. But you and your friends, like you could be on, 3rd Street, and your friends could be on 56th, and you would ride your bike all the way down the 56th to go hang out with your friend down there, and you guys would meet, in the middle on 30th or whatever, and that's just the way it was. Like, and it was just like cool. It was the same thing. Like, I went camping, and the campground was at the top of a mountain, and it was the same thing. Like, we just had the whole campground. We were told, don't go below the bathhouse because it was, I don't know why. It's not like bad people were down there. That was the line. Yeah, like that way, if your parents needed to look for you, they knew you were going to be in the upper half of the campground.
Right.
We were never in the upper half. We were in the bottom half of the campground all the time. We were down in fields. We had forts all over the place. And then once we got bikes and stuff, we would ride down the mountain, because on a bike going down the mountain, you're hitting 30 miles an hour. You're like, whoa, this is so awesome. We rollerbladed down the mountain at times. And then our friends would have cars.
Of course, you had pads on and helmets.
Of course, we had all that, and especially on the rollerblade back up when you're holding on to the back of the bumper.
Of course,
as they're driving back up the mountain. Of course, that was super safe.
Yep.
But we would, all that stuff, and it was your LBI was like the Goonies town. Like you were that oceanfront town, and you were doing all those things, and our generation, like the Goonies, it was what you, as a kid, you always hoped that there was that hidden cave that there was treasure in or whatever. So,
and anything, treasure or no, any little hidden nook you found was awesome.
Was awesome.
You'd find this one spot And it was like, all right, this is my spot now.
Yeah.
And, like, every weekend you like come back and you like have your little
spot
that
like
you think no one knows about and
yep.
stuff. Yeah. No, it is definitely something that kids today will not, and this is like, I feel like, oh, kids today,
kids these
right?
days.
But like, it's true. Like, it's a different environment. I know with my daughter, when she's old enough, I'm not going to feel comfortable just going, hey, see ya at dinner.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah. And like, I remember, you know, at 5:00, your mom yelling.
That was the big thing. Yeah. That's how you hear to get back is your mom walks outside and just shouts your name for like, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And if you're not back, then you're in trouble.
Then you're in trouble.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like, oh no, it's 5:00.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, and like now it's like you'll text, you'll FaceTime, you'll call.
Life 360.
Life 360. You know, you do all these things and you know where your kids are at all times, which I don't know. And that's just the way it is. And it just stinks. It's a shame because we had so much fun.
Yeah. And you hear all the time about like, oh, it's just not the same. It's not as safe. Kids get like, I don't think that's the case. I think we're just more
paranoid.
Aware and paranoid.
Yeah.
Like we can see all the like kids in the 80s and 90s, it's not like all of them did this and they were all fine.
Yeah.
Some people got hurt.
Yeah.
Some people did stupid stuff. Some people got picked up by strangers. And like now we know about all this and we're terrified about it.
And now as parents, because, we've been told as kids, the white van, the guy who's helped the guy find his puppy, this, that, whatever. So now we've instilled that down upon our kids. And now we're afraid not only for us, but also for our kids, because now we're in charge of these kids.
Right.
So now it's even more panicked. But yeah, and it's funny. There's a family around the block from me, and I see the kids outside all the time, riding bikes. And you can see them, their progression of pushing the limits.
Right.
Like first they have like the electric Jeep, the electric 4-wheeler, the Power Wheels.
Right.
And just over the summer, you could see them getting closer and closer to my house because you're only allowed to go down three houses. So they would go down 3 houses, turn around, and then come back. And then when the mom's not out, then they go down 4 houses. And, we got away with that. And now suddenly they're coming all the way down. I'm like 12 houses away. I can see them coming all the way down. And I'm like, these kids are like 80s kids.
Yep.
These kids are awesome.
Yep. Pushing the envelope.
Pushing the envelope.
That's
but
right.
The other thing was really funny. The other meme was you knew where the kids in the neighborhood were because there was 12 bikes out in front of somebody's house.
Yep.
Oh, everybody's at Bobby's house. Or everybody's over there at Timmy's house or whatever. Because like that's where all the bikes were. Okay, that's fine. And
I still see that every now and then. Like in our town where we work, I'll see like near the Bigelotti.
Yeah.
So there's 1,000 bikes.
There's 1,000 bikes there.
All the kids are there now.
Yeah, all the kids are getting a bagel. So.
Yep.
All right, well, that's
our podcast.
That's
right?
it. Welcome
come back next time for more nostalgia.
More nostalgic and parenting
corner.
with Nick
That's
and
right.
Rob.
That's
there we
right.
go. So we did miss something on November 17th was Life Day.
Yes, indeed.
And it was Life Day on November 17th.
Happy Life Day to those who celebrate it.
Yes, to those who celebrate Life Day, because that's when the Star Wars Holiday Special was released.
Sure was.
And we first learned about Life Day. So I thought I would take us back, not to the Holiday Special per se, because as a whole it was pretty bad. But Life Day was a holiday of Wookiee tradition that celebrates family, joy, and harmony. Values? That doesn't even make sense. Harmony-values. And tenets of Wookiee culture. Tenets of Wookiee culture. Traditionally held at the Tree of Life on the forest Wookiee homeworld of Kashyyyk, celebrations were held by people across the stars after the dark times of the Galactic Empire, making the Wookiee holiday their own. People mark the day with festival decor, lights, feasts, and music, where sentinels were reminded of compassion, the promise of the Tree of Life. So on Earth, we celebrate on November 17th because that was the day that the Star Wars Holiday Special came out. I don't think, is that on That is not on Disney Plus, the holiday special.
I don't think it is. I think it's on I know it's on YouTube.
Yeah, we found it on YouTube when we did. If you look back to like our 5th episode way back 5 years ago, we did a whole watching of the holiday special and breaking it down. And what a watch it was. But one of the underlying stories was this Life Day was getting Chewbacca back to Kashyyyk so that they could celebrate Life Day. Life Day was basically like their Thanksgiving, their Easter, everything all wrapped into one. Life Day became an annual holiday held after autumn that was celebrated by the people throughout the galaxy. Sentinels made the holiday their own by employing festive decor, twinkling string lights, unique food and drink items, music and activities in their celebration, and together, despite their differences in appearance, people shared the hopes of celebrating freedom and peace.
Essentially, Wookiee Christmas.
Wookiee Christmas. At the end of the day, all the celebrants grabbed to sing songs, and in the TV show, in the special, it was like church. Yep. They were all wearing red robes, like at church, and we were all singing songs. Such was the promise of the Tree of Life. Life Day celebrations were held subsequently on the Batuin Harvest Festival and preceding Black Spire Day, and festive activities involved the gathering of residents at the Black Spire. So that was Life Day. We missed it. It was November 17th. So enjoy I hope when you celebrated Thanksgiving this past week for all youths in America, that you also celebrated Life Day with it as well. And if not, you have a second opportunity to celebrate it when Christmas comes around on December 25th. You can instead, if you don't celebrate Christmas, you can celebrate Life Day on that day instead and wear a red robe and sing some songs.
You look like Moby today.
With the blue glasses?
Well, you got the glasses, you got the cap on, you got the sweatshirt. You look like you're about to produce a hip-hop album.
Speaking of producing hip-hop albums, not necessarily hip-hop albums, but one of the big fans of Ears Up, Mr. P, I just recently discovered his... Do you watch Twitch at all? Are you ever on Twitch? He has a Twitch account where he does some DJing.
Okay.
And he's really good.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
He does DJs on
DJs
live on
like
Twitch? Mixes and stuff?
Yeah, mixes. Like the club DJ scratching and mixing the songs together and all that good stuff. Yeah. And then if you're watching him live, unfortunately, you can only watch him live.
Right.
He's on the West Coast. So his times don't match up with our times very often. I'm old, so I'm already asleep by 9:30, 10 o'clock when he goes on East Coast time.
Right.
But I was able to catch him a couple of times, and he's a lot of fun. So, P, this is my shout out to you. Keep up the good work. I'm really impressed.
Way to go, P.
So there we go. What are we here to actually talk about? I did look at the news a little bit today. It closed. Never mind. There wasn't too many. Oh, did you hear about the new trilogy? They're now going back and forth whether or not they're making this or not.
There was a Daisy Ridley trilogy, I want to say, planned, and they were slating something for release, I want to say 25 or 26, and then from what I understand, they bumped it.
And
they didn't give it a new release date, so we're kind of up in the air about what's happening with it.
Right.
Because it looked like Daisy Ridley was pretty excited about it. I think John Boyega was in talks to rejoin and stuff.
Yeah. So, and then like it was funny, one day there was an article about how she was really, really excited about it, and then the next day there was an article about how it's now being scrapped because the producer or the director left or something like that. New Star Wars movies may bring back another sequel trilogy characters in addition to Daisy Ridley's Rey, but would the actor whom Lucasfilm is rumored to want to agree to return in The Rise of Skywalker? This is from Game Rant.
Okay.
Filed the chapter, the main saga George Lucas started, blah, blah, blah. Daniel Reitman reports that Disney and Lucasfilm want John Boyega back in the Star Wars franchise. Boyega portrayed Finn, a former First Order stormtrooper who left the Order and joined the Resistance, along with Rey and Oscar Isaac's Poe Dameron. In all three Star Wars sequels trilogies, he has not reprised the role in a live-action project since The Rise of Skywalker. Details on what Lucasfilm and Disney want to do with Boyega's film next are not clarified, so it's unknown if they want the character to return or for one of Ridley's new Rey movies or if they want to give him a solo spin-off. So I'm very confused. The Rey movie was scrapped, then it was back, then it was scrapped again, and now it's possibly back again.
I just think Disney can't figure out Star Wars. It's really annoying me.
It is very annoying.
Like they, by all metrics, they should be able to just print money with this IP.
Yeah.
And every new thing that comes out, it just seems like they don't know what to do with it. Like
exactly.
Either it comes out and it's like sloppy, or else it's just mediocre, or else they announce these big ambitious projects and then months later rescind what they're doing.
Yeah, they cancel them.
This is part of the problem that we're seeing, I feel like, all over the place in the creative world. Whether it's we've talked about House of the Dragon, and we've talked about Star Wars. And as much as I love House of the Dragon, I think it's great. The big story with them last season was that HBO essentially said, we need you to do 2 less episodes. I don't know if you had heard that.
Oh, okay.
So at the end of House of the Dragon, everyone went, that's it?
That's it?
Nothing?
Yeah.
And
we got nowhere. Yeah.
That for 2 reasons, essentially. 1, because the writer's strike.
Okay.
And 2, because HBO said because of budget reasons we need to cut it back. So they had this 12-episode arc. They had to cut it down to 10, but because of the writer's strike, they were legally not allowed to rewrite things.
Okay.
So they had to go with whatever they had at the beginning. And so it's just like this recurring theme in Hollywood, I feel like, of big studio executives making decisions based on bottom dollar.
Yeah.
And that negatively affecting the franchise. And it's you hire these creatives to do these things because that's their job and that's their forte.
Right.
And you want to make money.
Yeah.
And that's your forte. But you decide that you know better than the creative types on the creative end. And so it's really frustrating. I see it in Disney. I see it in Game of Thrones. I see it all over the place.
They did the reverse of that in Ted Lasso.
See, I still got to get on Ted Lasso. Everyone tells me I need to watch
Ted
Ted Lasso.
Lasso is amazing. But let me see. I'm going to the episodes because I don't want to mess this up. Come on.
Now, again, I haven't seen Ted Lasso, but my guess with that is it's a little easier for them because, I doubt you're looking at a whole big budget, fight scenes and,
right.
and CGI sort of stuff. So
yeah, it's different. Yeah, there's no CGI. There's not a lot of CGI, I should say, in it. But what the heck? TV series. Why can I not find episodes? Anyway, I forget what season it was. Oh, here's episodes 35. I think it was season 2. In season 2, season 1 had 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 episodes in season 1. In season 2, I think they wanted to do. I want to get the numbers right here. Okay, season 2 they wanted to do 10 episodes again. And Apple did the reverse of that. They said, no, we want you to give us 12 episodes.
All right.
And they said, we have 10-episode arc. They said, we don't care. Give us 12 episodes.
Huh.
So to do that, they have 2 filler episodes.
Just kind of like.
Which the one was the weirdest thing ever. And then you find out later why it was so weird because they just needed to fill in between what they had already written. Beard After Hours, season 2, episode 9, was a added episode because episode 8, they played Manchester City, they win the game. And then season 10, they had the next thing for a funeral. But they needed to add something. So they had this whole strange episode of the one coach who was just out all night celebrating and turned into this whole big weird thing. And you're watching it, you're going, what am I watching? And it was almost like them giving a middle finger to Apple.
Right.
Saying
like, you made us do this. Here it is.
Here it is. I mean? This is what you get for making us do this. The other one that they did was an episode called Carol of the Bells. It was Christmas.
Sure.
A whole Christmas episode. It was amazing. Really good. Really thought out. Really well done. But it came out in June.
Oh. Okay.
So it was like, actually it came out August 13th. So it came out in August. And you're like, why in August are we having a Christmas episode? And it was because of this. That was the second of the 2 episodes that Apple said you need to give us more than the 10-episode arc. So they said, okay, we'll give you a Christmas episode, and it will be released in August. But yes, you have to definitely get on that. It's really, really good. And like you said, it's not as big budget as a Star Wars thing or as a Game of Thrones thing where it's like, oh no, each episode is costing us $14 million in CGI alone.
Right.
Like, you need to scale this back. But still, it was just funny. They were like, okay, you're going to make us do 12? We'll give you 2 more episodes.
Yep. And did you watch Breaking Bad?
Yes.
So you know The Fly episode?
Yes.
I think we've talked about that before. The Fly was produced as a result of the series' considerable budgetary restrictions and being unable to afford the $25,000 to $35,000 needed to move the production trucks to a new location. Vince Gilligan remarked, "We were hopelessly over budget, and we needed to come up with what is called a bottle episode set in one location." Right, so that entire episode was like created because they didn't have enough money to do multiple locations to finish out that episode.
Right,
and they had to find one. So it was essentially just Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul. I think that's his name.
Yeah, I think that was his name.
And then a bunch of extras, and that was it.
That was it.
And so it is just interesting. But that was a great episode, and they were able to make that like a really interesting deep dive into the psyche of like those two characters.
Right,
which is great when you can make a corporate decision work artistically.
Yes.
But that's the exception more so than is the rule.
And
you know what I mean?
Star Wars, I feel like it's not happening that
Ever.
way. Ever.
Yeah.
So
it's just I don't know. It's and that's also been kind of part. Like I don't know a whole lot about Skeleton Crew. If I'm being honest, I haven't done a whole lot of research. I'm slightly disillusioned with some of the Star Wars content that's been coming out, and like how like I get excited for something, it comes out, it's not that great. You know, The Acolyte being this huge one where it was like so up and down. Most of it was just kind of dragging, and then you had these great moments where you're like, holy crap, this is incredible. And then of course that was canceled. So it's been it's been tough.
Canceled, but not canceled because
right. What
just
is
not
the word?
Picked up. Not continued.
Yeah, I don't know. Either way,
yeah.
It just like feels like studios and executives are making decisions that negatively affect franchises.
Yes.
We're hoping that this next one is gonna change that a little bit.
I hope so. It's like I think you said even earlier in this episode, like let the creatives be creative,
right,
and let the money guys do the money, you know, like but I feel like that's even, you know, with us being a part of Disney, like Disney as a whole is the same way, where it's like you got the wrong people making decisions about things.
Yep.
And like even with the parks, like the Star Wars Land, Black Spire's Outpost, whatever you want to call it, in Disney World and Disneyland, original idea was supposed to be way more inclusive, immersive, way more immersive than what we actually got.
Right.
Now, is it cool? You walk through the tunnel and suddenly you're like in this Star Wars land? Yes. But they were supposed to have droids walking all over the place. There was supposed to be a lot more like Rey does walk around sometimes, but even like other times, like when we were there, we saw Rey twice. The one time she was just like pretending to fix a spaceship, which is behind a fence that you. So
she wasn't like interact. She was just like doing her.
She was just doing her thing. You're just like, oh my God, there's Rey. So she was out. She's like wrenching on something and whatever, and then she like went away. Later on in the night, she was just walking around.
Was it the same Rey?
It was the same Rey this day, but then the next day I saw a different Rey. Okay. The first Rey looked a lot more like Daisy Ridley than the second Rey did. And like you do have the Imperial troopers walking through, but Disney, which is really funny for somebody who's like whatever, they want to keep Black Spire Outpost to a certain time frame. So you should, according to the time frame, you should never see Darth Vader. You should never see original Boba Fett. You should never see like Luke Skywalker, things like that. It should only be like Rey and Kylo Ren and Finn and those
like the sequel.
Yeah, and which is great, but like so many people have said we don't care.
Yeah,
just we want to see Darth Vader.
Yeah, like, and that, I mean, that boils down to the same executive decisions that annoyed us with the movies.
Yeah.
Right? When the sequels were announced, we were excited to see Luke Skywalker et al. Like, what have they been doing? And it's like, no, you don't get that story.
You don't get
the story about these new people, and then Luke Skywalker dies.
Yeah. You see him for 1 minute in the first sequel movie. You see him for a little bit more.
For like 20 minutes, and he doesn't do much. He
doesn't do much except for complain and pout and be a grumpy old man. Yeah. And then he dies. And you're like, what? That was it?
Yeah, and again, that's kind of exactly what we're talking about, right? Yeah. These decisions that I don't know who decides to make them, but it's like, you have a franchise. It's clearly established. You should know what the people want.
Yeah.
They don't.
They don't. And like even the people who are in charge have been immersed in Star Wars, immersed in Lucasfilm for years. Like they should be able to easily continue the tradition on, and they seem to be struggling with it so much.
Yep.
So Skeleton Crew, 4 kids make a mysterious discovery on their home planet that leads them to get lost in a strange and dangerous galaxy. So far this season, let's see if 8 episodes. It's going to be an 8-episode arc.
Probably 25 minutes long each.
Yeah, probably somewhere in that area. Because that's what all the Disney Star Wars live actions are, anywhere between 20 to 40 minutes.
Right.
With 10 minutes of credits at the end. So episode 1 and 2 both come out on Monday. Episode 3 comes out the following Tuesday, December 10th.
Okay, so a week and a day later.
A week and a day later. So and then from there on out, it's all Tuesday releases from there. Yeah.
I wonder why they went with a Monday release for.
I don't know.
Huh.
It's very interesting. And it doesn't say like if it's going to be 3 a.m. on Monday or 8 p.m. on Monday. Some of them are like they were doing 8 p.m. releases and stuff. So Tuesday, December 10th.
I remember Mando, it was always just like right at midnight, right?
Yeah.
You would like
it was like 3 a.m. because it was midnight West Coast time. So, so I would wake up early to watch it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So December 17th, 24th, 31st, January 7th, and January 14th. So we get a little bit of this new series, which is pretty exciting for the month of December and January. The cast, Jude Law.
Yeah, Jude Law is the one that makes me wonder because, like, that's a big pull. That
is a big pull.
You know, so like,
yeah.
And for TV, like, what TV shows have you seen Jude Law on? You know what I mean?
Right,
like,
exactly.
He's a movie star, so it does make me wonder, like, what are the number one, why would he have joined on? Unless it was pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, like Jude Law doesn't
need
looking for work. You know?
Yeah, he's not looking for work. He doesn't need this.
And like, why would they pony up such a hefty salary? I'm sure his salary is the highest that anyone on the cast, unless they had plans to make this legit. But who knows?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
He's certainly. I'm just trying to think back. I think he's the biggest star in any of the live action Star Wars that's come out. I mean, Rosario Dawson's a big star, but I don't think she's quite.
Carl Weathers was a big star, but he was a big fading star.
Yeah, he was. If it was like 1992 or something,
right?
But like, you know, what's Pedro Pascal's a big star.
Pedro Pascal,
but again, I don't think he's got quite the star power as a Jude Law.
I mean? Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's an interesting casting choice.
Yeah, it's also interesting because I feel more big name celebrities are willing to do a streaming series because they're always only 8 or 10 episodes.
Right.
So it's like
less of a commitment
than a whole network television series.
Right. And probably looking at the history is like, well, most of them get canceled anyway, so maybe it'll be a nice one season.
Or it's one season. I have 2 years until the next season comes around. So
he's also been doing the nerd tour, wasn't he? Dumbledore. Jude Law?
Yes, so yes, he was.
He's got his Harry Potter stripes.
Yeah,
now
so maybe that's what
stripes.
he wants. He wants to get in on Star Wars. He did Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Next, you'll see him in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I would love that. Although I don't think they hire many American actors for Game of Thrones.
Okay.
I think it's mainly British actors.
Okay.
Except for Peter Dinklage.
Right. Well, he's just an awesome actor.
Yeah.
You're an angry elf. Which that was on all day yesterday. 24 hours of Elf.
Good.
Nick Frost is in it as SM-33. I don't know if that means he's a robot or if he is trooper of some sort. But
yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine Nick Frost being a trooper. Can you imagine him in like a
in a Star Wars,
or in a stormtrooper uniform?
Yeah.
I like Nick Frost. That'd be. He usually does stuff with Simon Pegg, and Simon Pegg was in. I think he was in a Star Wars. I think he was like in the a Star Wars. I think in Force Awakens he was like one of the aliens in like lots of costuming and stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, Nick Frost, I'm always a big fan of. So
I'm trying to look at his movies that he was in.
Nick Frost?
Yeah, I don't recognize. Seize Them, How to Date Billy Walsh.
So he was in. Time
Stalker?
Do you remember what's the one with Simon Pegg where it's like they're in Britain and the zombie apocalypse happens?
No.
That's gonna annoy me. Hold on.
Is this new or older?
I mean, like 15 years older.
Okay.
You don't know Nick Frost that well, is what you're saying?
He was in Tomb Raider, apparently uncredited in Tomb Raider. The Huntsman's Winter War.
Okay, so Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead.
You know Shaun of the Dead?
Yes.
And Hot Fuzz.
Yes.
So Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz were like Simon Pegg and Nick Frost's like that, and then The World's End. It was like their trilogy.
Okay.
And they called them the Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy.
Okay.
But yeah, Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead are some of my favorite quirky British comedies.
Okay.
Hot Fuzz was 2007 and Shaun of the Dead was 2004, so 20 years, I guess. But yeah, Simon Pegg, I'm trying to see what Star Wars he was in. He was in Star Trek too. Was he Scotty?
Oh.
The new, like
in
the new
one?
Scotty?
Okay. That's I can see that.
Yeah, he was Scotty, yep.
Okay.
Film, let's see, 2000, Star Wars, that's 2018. When did the new Star Wars come out?
You're asking the wrong person, although I do like it, but...
Force Awakens. He was Unkar Plutt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, if for those of you who don't know the names that well, Daisy Ridley is bringing, her whatever to the guy. He's like, this is worth 3/4 portions. That was Simon Pegg.
That was, okay.
And so now we get Nick Frost in the mix.
That's really funny. I'm looking at some of the other actors in it. There's a lot of people who have a lot of credits, but
not super well known.
Not super well known.
Yeah, and we've said this on this pod before, is that the biggest thing I'm worried about anytime we're having a show based around kids is the kid actors.
Yeah.
We've seen so many bad kid actors in Star Wars. Specifically, those the two girls in The Acolyte. I feel bad. They're little children, but these were not high quality. I always compare it to Stranger Things. Like, I don't know how
Stranger Things got those kids. Yeah,
every one of those kids was like a stellar actor. Like, not a kid actor, but like a good stellar actor.
Yeah,
who like I'm never taken out of the moment by like, oh, this kid had a crappy line delivery. You know what I mean? Or like, oh, that was pretty cheesy. It was all believable.
They all.
And maybe it's easier to make it believable when you've got a group of kids who are just like playing D&D and you got to make that feel authentic. It's harder for a kid to maybe make, being a Jedi authentic or like being a space pirate authentic. But
it's easier to D&D's right there in front of you, and some of these kids might have even played D&D on their own, so they know like the terminology and how to say it the right way. But when you have a kid standing in front of a green screen and they're saying, okay, a bad guy's coming at you, act scared. They're like, and
part of it is also, just the dialogue writing. Star Wars has never been necessarily known for stellar dialogue writing.
No, and even like going all the way back to George Lucas's writing, I remember them saying like, you can write this, but people can't actually say this.
Yeah,
like,
there's that famous clip out on TikTok now of Mark Hamill, like this line that Lucas wanted him to say. And it never made it in because Mark Hamill was like, people don't talk like this.
Yeah. Carrie Fisher was notorious for saying the same thing. Like, she said it in interviews numerous times.
Yeah. Well, Carrie Fisher will say whatever she wants.
That's right. She would have. There are some Dane Diliegro, Diliegro.
Is this an actor name or a character?
This is an actor name.
Okay.
He was in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Dane Diliegro. I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, I recognize his face from Guardians of the Galaxy. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Which one, the first one?
Volume 3.
Oh, I actually haven't seen that one.
Oh, it's a really good one. And Dominic Burgess, I recognize that face also. He was in such a good show. And it's not even in I just saw a clip of him when.
Oh, is it The Good Place he was in?
The Good Place. Yeah. He was the one with the boots.
Oh, okay.
In The Good Place. Yeah, he was like, he said was the Queegee, what was the guy's name? The main guy who was the
Chitty.
Chitty, yeah.
Chitty, yeah.
He's like, look at my red boots, aren't they awesome?
That's
and
right.
Chitty was like, yeah, they're great.
And then didn't you also say and I looked it up, I saw there's like shots of Jaleel White as a space pirate, right? He's not credited in IMDb, but you can find like shots
on
of him.
Google.
For those of you who don't know, Jaleel White is Steve Urkel or Stefan Urkel. For those initiated
in the later seasons when he jumped the shark, he became Stefan.
Stefan Urkel.
He was very, very cool. His alter ego.
Because there's nothing says like hometown family, early '90s sitcom like random genius teenager creating a machine that makes you cool.
Yes. So Jaleel White as a space pirate in Star Wars. His name is Gunter in it, and he's got like an eyepiece. A lot of robotics built into his head.
Maybe he's got like Lobot. Remember
Lobot? Yeah.
He kind of has like maybe some cybernetic enhancements.
Or
like the speeder bike gang from
from Book of Boba Fett.
Hopefully he's.
That was a good. That I did appreciate that. Them giving you a very minor backstory on the cybernetic enhancements. Because you're like, oh, that's how Lobot got his thing, because it was like a thing to do. You can get cybernetic enhancements added to your body.
Yep.
Which would be interesting.
Well, I don't know. We're starting, right? Isn't there the Neuralink now? I feel like that's the first step.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens after that. So if we do start, the people were talking about like getting a chip put in you. And it's like, okay, well, what's that going to do? But, like, yeah. So, I don't know. I'm interested. Let me see this. Let me see if I can pull this up. I want to watch. We can watch official clip. Ah! Oh, that was loud.
Someone listening to us just crashed
their car, yes. All right, let me see if I can pull this up for the viewing audience on YouTube.
Yeah, we are on YouTube, by the way. If you're listening to us on any of your streaming stuff, you can check us out on the YouTubes, and you can see Rob's hat, his temple hat, and his Moby-like glasses.
All right, does that is it pulling through full screen? Okay,
it's most of the screen. Yeah, we're good.
Okay, all right. Then let me do this, and let's see the latest trailer from Skeleton Crew. So this is really funny. It's suburban Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, which is really cool. Like he
missed his bus.
He missed his bus. He missed his school bus. And it looks like a normal suburban town, but it definitely is all Star Wars-esque. The bus is a floating bus, and the houses are a little Star Wars-y, more than just regular normal houses that we have here on Earth. Don't know why the kid had to do a roll there, but okay.
Spin move.
Yeah, spin move. This guy's doing a little speeder bike.
Oh, it's like a little kiddie speeder bike.
Yeah.
Look at that. It goes pretty fast for a kid speeder bike.
It's like the new electric bicycles that can go up to 35 miles an hour.
My parents have those. They love them.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Got to lift the bike up over the... Uh-oh.
Interesting. For something that floats, you would think
it would be easy to lift up. Yeah.
I like how he has like a little tray on the back too.
Yeah,
it's like you can deliver pizzas with it.
Yep. Cutting through the woods. Oh, there's ET.
With eyes on your own desk.
And now they're taking their standardized tests.
Sure, your OWLs.
Your OWL.
No unauthorized data pads or comlinks are allowed during any of the testing sections. If you must use the refresher, remain seated and utilize your desk controls. If you finish
I like the elephant guy.
Yeah.
the next section to begin. Any questions?
What if, say, someone missed their tram, so they're taking a shortcut
Sit
and
down, student. The test will begin shortly. Sit.
That's my life
Yes.
as a teacher. Sit down, student.
Sit down, student.
That was nice. They give a little like shot of the door there too, and it almost looks like the entrance to a mall.
Yeah,
it's got like the sliding glass doors. It's making it very accessible to us.
It is. And here's another trailer.
Ooh, an ad. Love this. Oh no, it's not an ad. It's good music.
Yeah.
What are you in for? I found something buried in the woods.
Oh, in the shortcut, she finds something buried in the
Ah,
woods.
okay.
Unacceptable. Do you understand?
I think I'm turning Japanese. I think I'm turning Japanese. I really think so.
Does give off vibes.
Yeah.
Don't touch anything.
If you're gonna do the Goonies, you got to do Goonies-esque music.
That's right. All right, so we got some shots of space
Spaceships.
travel. So they're not staying on that planet.
Nope.
Clearly,
Lost. Really lost.
that girl looked like she had Geordie LaForge's glasses on.
She did.
We just need some directions home.
Come on, kid. Hey, whoa. Where'd you two find an old Republic credit?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Over here, quick.
There's
Oh,
Jude Law.
Jude.
The introduction of
We'll
Jude
make a
Law.
partnership. But we have to move fast. I need you to take the controls.
Okay. Neil? Neil?
So the elephant kid is Neil.
Neil.
Okay, I like Neil. That's saying December 3rd.
Of murderous pirates.
It's
is
funny, they moved it ahead.
Yeah.
Something's wrong. They're not going to just turn up. We need to find them.
Space mom and space dad.
Yeah.
Be warned of booby traps.
Booby traps, that's very,
Booby traps. That's
very
so
Goonies.
Goonies.
Very One-Eyed Willie.
Yeah.
If you hear this,
All we need is Chunk to show up.
That's right. Hey, you
no
guys.
matter what.
2 episodes streaming December 3rd. Psych, December 2nd.
Yep. All right.
All right.
Yeah, so again, I hate to say this because everything looks like that going in, but it looks like it's got good guts to it. You know,
Yeah.
like there's interesting stuff happening. I have no idea what the plot of this is yet. So I like that.
So,
'cause, like,
right.
it's all just
I
kinda,
think
know
the-
they find something.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think the plot is very simple. Goonies-esque, in a Goonies-esque way. She finds a spaceship buried in the woods. They climb on board, hit the wrong button, and it takes off. And
Love
now
it.
they're lost.
Love it.
And so now the whole thing is for them to get home. Unlike the Goonies, which was they needed to get the gold home
Right,
so
so
that
they
they
can-
would not lose their homes.
Right.
I would love for that to be an underlying
Sure.
thing, like we're going to lose our home, but I don't think that's going to be the case. That would make it really perfectly 80s Goonies.
Do we know, have they said like what time period this is set in this Star Wars timeline?
Let's see.
Seems like something Star Wars bloggers and
Yes.
podcasters might have already looked into.
Skeleton Crew timeline. When does Skeleton Crew take place?
From MSN.com.
Yeah, I'm on the same one.
Look at that.
That's really funny.
I need the app to continue reading.
So is
Messed up.
Spiriting Skeleton Crew a brand new series following the footsteps?
Okay, during the New Republic era.
Okay.
This is after Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. So, yeah, it looks like it's between Episode 6 and Episode 7.
Okay, along with the same time frame as Book of Boba Fett and Ahsoka, given some of the projects currently in the works, Lucasfilms could mean the Skeleton Crew as it unfolds. So, yeah, I wonder if this is like Disney Plus's. Well, they did go to the Acolyte, which went backwards. But I was going to
Right.
say, is this going to be Disney Plus's time frame? Is all going to be taking place in between episodes 6 and 7? But whatever. Look. If there's a Jedi, even if it's because it makes sense because he says he's a Jedi, or they say he's a Jedi. He has some Force powers.
And who's this? Which character?
Jude Law.
Yeah,
Jude Law is the Jedi with some special powers. We haven't seen in any of the trailers a lightsaber as far as I remember from all the trailers that I've seen. So he could be another one of these, misplaced Jedis who doesn't know how to make a lightsaber, or maybe he has one. Just they didn't want to foreshadow that.
Sure.
But yeah, that makes sense.
They learned their lesson from the light whip.
Yes.
Yeah, they showed that light whip in those trailers. We're like, yes, this is gonna be great, and we saw.
And then that was the
like,
only time we saw the light whip. Yeah. Well, I like it. It looks good so far.
Yeah.
Tomorrow will be very exciting because we'll see 2 episodes, which may equal an hour.
Maybe.
We'll see. And we'll get to see probably the whole first episode will be them getting into the ship and taking off at the end of the first episode.
Right.
And we'll see what happens in the second episode.
And I do like that Star Wars has been doing this. This is the one thing that not the one thing, but one of the things I think they've actually been doing well is that, every time we see a new thing come out, like we realize that they're pulling from the first episode or 2 for their promos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm betting there's an awful lot that we haven't seen yet, and we're going to see a lot of these scenes in the first couple episodes.
Right. And how much jumping from planet to planet. It would be neat if, say, the last 4-5 episodes is them causing mischief on one planet and then getting in and leaving, and then the next episode going to another planet. So it's not a long story arc. I would like kind of like the first season of Mandalorian, where it was mini stories, but they're all tied together somehow. Sure. So maybe it's their map of them trying to figure out how to get back home. They have to jump from here to there, and they run into problem everywhere they go, because that adds for good storytelling.
Sure.
So that would be interesting.
Yep.
So
that's it, man.
I don't know. All right.
So yeah, we'll try and be back with some insight into our first 2 episodes this week.
Yes.
In the meantime, have we talked about our social media?
We didn't do any of that.
We didn't.
Yeah, the social medias, Facebook.
Right, Facebook, Instagram. We're not on X.
We're not on X.
No, screw that. But we're on kind of TikTok.
There is a TikTok account.
And we have our Facebook group that is still up and kicking, so come join us at Sacred Jedi Text.
And don't forget all the other Ears Up shows.
That's
Ears
right.
Up. No longer Ears Up in depth, even though the guys at the Supreme Resort keep trying to push it.
Yeah.
They just think that's funny. The Supreme Resort,
Puny Pod
for all of your Marvel needs and
check
fixes.
out Your Team Sucks podcast.
Your Team Sucks podcast
for
if
anyone
you're
who is a
NFL
sports
fan and especially an Eagles versus Cowboys fan. We actually had both of us were excited last week because we both won.
Love that.
4 weeks in a row of the Cowboys losing. It was finally a win for me, so I was very happy about that.
So they're having a banner season.
A banner season. This is this is a humdinger of a season.
Could be worse. You could be a Jets fan.
Could be, where they have bad every year.
And they have Aaron Rodgers.
And Aaron Rodgers, which was supposed to be their savior, and then he wasn't.
Shocking.
Are you? I know. Are you? You're not a big football fan.
I'm as a fan in so much that like I will watch like the Super Bowl and stuff, and because I have to go to football games for work and stuff like.
Right.
I'm not like I don't not know what's going on.
Yeah.
But like I'm not that guy who's like got to watch every week.
Right.
But I am plugged in enough to know the Aaron Rodgers drama and what an idiot he is.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's just one of those things.
And he's practically a flat earther too, I think. So
yep. He's not, aside from just kind of being a crazy person.
Yeah.
He's also just kind of a jerk. Like
just
the whole I remember at the beginning of the season there was all these, issues with him not coming to like the preseason
practices
and he was off on like some spiritual freaking
and his brother
retreat.
was I think his brother was a football player for a little while also, but he was on like he started doing like celebrity shows, like he might have been on Dancing with the Stars or something like that, whatever. But then you found out that like the two of them haven't talked in like 5 years or something like that. Like Aaron has so whatever. But yeah, that's enough about Aaron Rodgers.
You can get more on that at Your Team Sucks podcast.
You could. We're just going to create a sub show. Aaron Rodgers Sucks
podcast. That's right. But yeah, so check us out on the social medias. Please like, subscribe, share us with all your friends.
Yes, please.
Even the non-Star Wars liking friends. Tell them you will listen to this and you will like it, or else I will put cheese in your gas tank.
He will do that too. He's
shredded
done
cheese.
That. Shredded cheese
cheddar
in the gas tank. It does not go well.
Diabolical.
Yes.
All right.
He does one shred at a time.
That's it. Individually. That's the key. That's the key.
You got to get it to all.
Yeah, man.
There you go.
You don't want a cheesy gas tank.
Nope, not at all.
Cheesy gas tank. New band name.
Anyway,
check us out this week. We'll come back at you with more Skeleton Crew.
Yes, we will.
All right.
From all of us here at Bantha Milk Podcast,
we have spoken.
We have spoken.